Well, a very good morning. It just about still is, and welcome to this panel discussion, or this 1.5-hour deep dive on Morocco. What is driving investment opportunities in Morocco? I'd like to say a warm welcome, ahlan wa sahlan, and of course, bienvenue as well. My name's Richard Dean. I'm a journalist and broadcaster and interior designer based here in Dubai, and I'm going to be the master of ceremonies for the next hour and a half or so. We're going to kick off by welcoming a very special guest this morning. He is the Chief Executive Officer of the Moroccan Agency for Tourism, or SMIT. And please, I beg your indulgence, I'm going to try to pronounce it in French, which could be a comedy moment. Société Marocaine d'Ingénierie Touristique. Ladies and gentlemen, let's give a very warm welcome to Imad Barrakad.
Excellencies, honorable participants, ladies and gentlemen, just a few words maybe. It's a pleasure to welcome you to this session dedicated to tourism investment in Morocco. Especially, I would like to seize this opportunity to thank Bench Events and the organizers for this. A special thank as well for the speakers who are gonna talk about Morocco. They are the specialists, and thanks to the participants both from Dubai or from the abroad that are virtually participating for this conference. Maybe what is driving investment opportunities in Morocco? Maybe a few words. I'm just gonna discuss about three things which are very important. Investment environment, it is very important, demand and profitability. For the investment environment, we are working on 5 axes to improve the investment in Morocco. A new framework for Morocco. We are working to have a new law for investment. So this law will allow investors to have new incentives, even SMEs or big investors, or rebuilding new hotels. Second thing is facilitation for investors. We are giving to all investors in Morocco a big vision, showing them our vision, procedure, and we are working on having for them someone who accompanies them from the beginning, from A to Z, and I'm going to talk about SMIT later. Fourth thing is the banks. The banks are working to facilitate the investment or the loans, giving the loans to the investors in Morocco. And the last thing is plots. We have some plots. We are giving plots to investors at a low price, and we support investors from A to Z, as I talked. The second axis is demand. We are working to increase the demand in Morocco. How? We are supporting air lifts and air seats in Morocco. We are promoting the product and putting a lot of money to promote the country. So we can go to the third axis, which is profitability. Doing that, we are giving to investor the best profitability in the region. But profitability is not only numbers. Profitability is as well beauty of the country. We are giving given the landscape in all Morocco. You find very nice beauties, even in nature, culture, or in beach. So the profitability is here, and I welcome people coming to Morocco to visit us. And finally, I'm going to talk about SMIT. We are supporting investors from A to Z. I'm not going to talk too much, but I'm going to give the floor to all speakers and give them from. We are happy to discuss with the people who wants to come to Morocco and give them all the details after this session. Thanks a lot.
Oh, we photograph Imad. This is... Thanks very much indeed, Imad. Looking forward to a great session here. As full disclosure, I should say my interior design firm is designing a hotel in Rabat at the moment, but I just say that in terms of full disclosure. Right then, so the next hour and a half or so, we've got a really good mix. On the one hand, we've got people who are going to tell you the story of Morocco, the investment story, but also the story that Morocco is telling tourists to get them in to fill the hotels that maybe you're going to be building or investing in. But of course, we're going to balance that with numbers as well. We need to crunch some numbers. So let's begin. Who better to crunch the numbers than the guys from STR? Please join me in welcoming the Area Director for the Middle East and Africa, Philip Waller.
Thank you, Richard. Good morning, good afternoon. So nice to see so many friends in the audience. Okay, I only have a few minutes and I have forgot my clicker. Could you pass me that clicker? And I'm just really going to try and set the scene. Where are we in Morocco? I have taken a couple of slides from Robin earlier on, just in case some of you didn't see the full presentation. And they're not in there. So I'm going to push straight through to straight through to Africa. I think what I really wanted to do was just I think we all know the hotel industry has pushed forward so much over the last, particularly in this region, over the last 6 or 7 months. All over the world, occupancies aren't quite back to where they were, but they're very, very close. We also have to take into consideration supply differences, but we are getting very, very close from an occupancy point of view. When we look at Africa, we've got the 4 buckets here on the left-hand side, and we've indexed it back to 2019. So your base level is 100. Anything below 100 is your percentage difference from 100, and anything above is your percentage gained on 2019. So Lagos, Addis, and Dakar, Addis and Lagos ahead, 13–15%. But most of the other markets a little bit behind on 2019 levels. But I do think it is rather curious what is happening in Africa from an average room rate point of view. Same basis, 100 being your base. It seems to be a new horizon, a new way of pricing in Africa. I'm not sure how long it will last for, but Sharm el-Sheikh, 43% up on 2019 levels. Cairo, we can see some big changes there. Well, Marrakesh is 47% up, but pretty much all the way through Africa, we have seen some enormous price increases. Average room rate, probably one of the highest all across the world, I would say, from an average room rate point of view. Supply and demand, the old favorite. You can see supply has not really shifted in Morocco for some time. A little bit of an increase, but I feel that as the new supply comes in, we've got some incredible projects coming into Morocco. That will obviously drive new demand. We can see the drop in 2020. We can see the increases in 2021 and 2022. So we are seeing some demand growth, even though we had the drop in 2020. And we can see the RevPAR change. So some good things happening in Morocco. Looking a little bit more closely, occupancy. For July year to date, we could see for the whole of Morocco, 43%. So we have some way to go. If we look at some of the key markets all the way through, we have, what have we got? Agadir and Tangier, 46 and 44. So there is some way to go in terms of occupancy, but this is a year-to-date number. I think important to understand in the earlier part of the year, there were some restriction protocols, so things have changed a little bit as we kick through to July only. So the summer, Tangier and Agadir, the strongest. Agadir through the summer, through July, operating at 76%, Tangier 69%. A little bit more to go through Rabat, Casablanca, and Marrakesh, but things are certainly pushing in the right direction. And then if we index it back to 2019, I think again, taking into consideration the early part of the year, there is some way to catch up. when you look at 2019. But this will give a very good indication. The blue is 2019, obviously very much stronger in the earlier part of the year. And then as we head through, we can see that all these markets are pretty much catching up to the 2019 levels. And clearly the reason why we haven't got a year-to-date occupancy in the same sort of area is because of the earlier part of the year. But some strong summer performances coming out of all the key markets in Morocco. From a room rate point of view, 1354, I think, is Imad. What are we in dollars here? Marrakesh is about 200. It's about 200, yeah. So it is strengthening for sure. The average room rate across Morocco 1354. Obviously, the stronger market of Marrakesh, Agadir and Tangier not far behind. So certainly things have improved quite dramatically year on year. And then again, index back to 2019, Marrakesh, Agadir, Tangier well ahead, particularly Marrakesh. And we see those occupancies sort of building over the summer period. Rabat, Casablanca, a little bit more to go, but I mean, it's interesting with all the average room rates worldwide, generally speaking, very, very strong. We had the Economist earlier on. There are a lot of challenges, a lot of headwinds. We will see where that goes, but at the moment, things are looking very, very good. Pipeline, I think this is certainly since the last presentation I did, there is quite a lot of changes in supply or potential supply in Morocco. Rabat is going to be the main beneficiary. You can see the break in terms of luxury through to upper upscale and upscale. So the majority of supply coming into Morocco is in the higher end, perhaps an opportunity in the mid-market. But fabulous properties. Top of my head, I think we've got Six Senses, we've got Fairmont, St. Regis, Intercontinental, but also the other end, Mama Shelter, I think was one I remember. Citadines, I think some of the big Accor are bringing in some mid-market hotels. So a lot of activity all across Morocco. In terms of room count, Rabat, the main beneficiary, nearly 1,600 rooms coming into Rabat. Casablanca, again, one of the favorites, followed by Marrakesh, but activity all across the country. So quite a lot happening, and that theoretically will drive a lot of new demand into the country. So some encouraging numbers from a pipeline point of view. And this is where, on a map, this is where really they're coming in. I think the next bench event is in Agadir. So we will be heading down to Agadir in early November. But obviously, Imad, a lot of work has been done with bringing in some of the big brands you can see on the right-hand side. And I'm assuming that will continue for the next few years. So great to see a lot of activity, some fabulous hotels, but all the way through to mid-market. So strong pipeline. And I think, okay, just to sort of recap, occupancy not far off 2019 levels. If you compare, as I mentioned before, very, very similar all across the market. So we're very, very close. Average room rate has surpassed. Moroccan performance has improved over recent weeks. So we've seen the summer, a lot of progress over the summer. We expect to see further recovery across Africa in 2022. We've talked about the summer and the pipeline. Very, very attractive. Some great properties coming through. And I think that is it. Thank you very much.
Philip, thanks very much indeed. So let's have a look in a bit more detail at some of the projects that are happening, the real projects that are happening on the ground right now. We're going to dive into those, a showcase, if you like, of some of the investment opportunities. And to do that, will you please join me in welcoming our next speaker? He is the Managing Director of Istich Consulting, Salim Mikram. Salim. There you go, sir. Choose your weapon.
Thank you, Richard. So just, oh, here we go. Well, thank you, Richard, for introducing and joining efforts also to promote this destination. My name is Salim Mikram. I'm Managing Director of Istich Consulting. I'm doing hotel investment consulting in Morocco, focused in Morocco. Yep. Focused on Morocco and region, Northwest Africa. And we're going through a few of the opportunities, investment opportunities that are available right now in Morocco and which are really promising in our opinion. Probably the first thing is that we're going to have three main destinations and with three main different investment profile and approaches. We're going to be talking about Marrakesh, about Agadir, and also about a new comer destination, which is Dakhla, which is an emerging destination at the moment, which is very promising. Obviously, you all know Marrakesh. It's already on the map. It's a mature destination. And probably here I would like to insist on one of the aspects of Morocco. It's just a singular destination in the sense that it has succeeded in developing a destination without having the two usual drivers behind the tourism destinations, which are either an international economic hub. So we all know Paris, London, Sydney, Dubai as well, as being large destinations, tourism destinations, because of their economic importance. In Marrakesh, it's different. We have exceptional vibe, singular, also cultural and heritage aspects which help develop the destination. Then we have also Agadir, as I said, it's more coastal and beach oriented destination. It has been the top destination in Morocco for many decades before Marrakesh stepped over. As I said, Dakhla, which is a newcomer and which holds a lot of potential for the next years to come. It's more of a desert landscape, and it's been really growing in the last few years. Okay, the first opportunity or the first destination that we would like to go through is Agadir. As you know, guys, and as Philip has told us, we were going to have the African Hotel Investment Forum at the beginning of November this year. And I do remember the discussion that I had at the time with Matt and Jonathan as well, and we were talking about why Agadir? Like, is it? And Matt has told me, are we going to do the AHIF in the fisherman village? No, no, it's not that at all. Agadir is actually the third conurbation in Morocco. It's the third largest city in Morocco. So we're not talking about the lost city in the middle of Morocco. It's actually the third largest city in the after Rabat and Casablanca. It's also the second economic contributor to the Moroccan GDP. So there's a large food business industry there. And actually, if you're eating anchovy on your pizza tonight, there's chances that this anchovy has been processed in Agadir. So it's a large industrial destination, but also a top tourism destination in Morocco. And it's the second one, just after Marrakesh. So you have a first-class seaside destination. You have a diversified supply of accommodation, about 40,000 key rooms, eco-resorts, all-inclusive resorts, but also boutique hotels. And you have also all the large brands which are operating in there, especially after Taghazout has been launched a few years ago, with Marriott, with Hilton, with Hyatt, with Accor, having properties there. Leisure is also an important side because Agadir is also known for its nightlife, for its amusement parks and leisure. And it's been a destination for many years, and I found this postcards that dates back in the 50s, knowing that it's been there for many decades and it has real strengths that can be further developed. Okay, a few numbers maybe on the destination. We have 20,000 room keys for the destination, more than 1 million tourist arrival in the destination. It's actually more because these ones are just the sort of registered one, those who are spending hotel overnights in hotels. We actually have much more tourists visiting the cities who spend the nights in residential development, so probably would be worth taking them into account. So we're heading into 1.6, 1.7 million tourists every year, which make Agadir the second destination in Morocco, as I said. And the average occupation rate is about 72% for 3-star hotels and above, which is actually the highest occupation rates in Morocco, even more than Marrakesh. And I think Philip also has insisted that it has recovered probably more easier than other destinations. And an average stay duration of 5 nights, which is the highest again in Morocco as well. In terms of accessibility, maybe we can say a few words on this. It's true that the Al Masira International Airport is the third largest in Morocco, just after Casablanca and Marrakesh. It's a well-connected city with most European capitals. Nonetheless, we understand that most airlines that are coming to Agadir for the moment are usually low cost. So we're conscious that we need to do some improvements there to have standard airline companies coming to Agadir, which is going to further open the city and further position it as a international tourism destination. So what is Aghrud? The Aghrud, in a few words, this is specific project that we have in Agadir, in the outskirts of Agadir. In one word, it's the new Taghazout in the making. So Taghazout, as you know, has been developing recently as one of the major resorts in Morocco, with about 10 hotels that have opened in the last few years. I do remember myself promoting Taghazout in 2015. About 7 years ago, there were barely no hotels at all. That was in Berlin at the time, but also in AHIF in Dubai a few years ago. So now we have 10 hotels or more. We have all the large brands that are represented. Fairmont, where the AHIF is going to happen later this year. The Hyatt, the Hilton. So it has really improved and has become a real destination. So Aghrud is an extension, in fact, of the Taghazout resort, and it's about 15 kilometers north of Taghazout. It's about half an hour drive from Agadir city center, and it's linked to the city with a new motorway expressway. So it's actually very easily reachable through the city of Agadir. We have in Aghrud a large development, a large parcel, which is government owned and which is beachfront in front of an amazing beach, which is 6 kilometers long. And it's already a famous beach destination, but more for Moroccan and local tourists for the moment. And the objective through this project is to transform this location into a proper international destination for the years to come, and to tap into the international travelers more. So this is the vision of the project. So there are many components that are planned for Aghrud, with the beachfront resorts, both all-inclusive and family-oriented resorts. We are planning also, and this is something that is more and more successful recently, especially after COVID, boutique hotel as well in front of the sea. We're planning wildlife area or a zoo area for more to attract more families into that destination, as well as a water park. So what are the specification of the project in a few words? So we have 12,000 keys that are planned both for hospitality and residential, so it's a quite large development. We're talking about 590 hectares of land parcel that are to be developed. Obviously, I mean, investors are not presented with this whole development, but rather with the specific development parcels, which range around 8 to 12 hectares land parcel. And these are government owned, as I said. They're offered at an attractive cost. and SMIT, I mean the Moroccan Agency for Tourism Development, is going to participate directly in the development of this area, especially everything that is linked to site infrastructure cost in particular. We expect the investment range or the investment envelope to be around $20 to $40 million per development, depending on the parcel, depending on the type of the product that we're considering, with an internal rate of return of about 18% as an objective for each of these developments. So we're looking for 4-star, 5-star hotel. We're not into the ultra luxury segment, but rather upper upscale hotels, which are targeted to families in particular. Probably I would add that all the opportunities that we are looking at today are more into the greenfield project. We're looking at greenfield projects. These are in emerging destinations, but which enjoy a lot of government support and also government involvement. So it's a fruit of a public and private partnership, and investor interested in these projects will collaborate with the government so that they develop these projects. The second project that we are going to discuss about is Plage Blanche. So Plage Blanche stands for white beach in French. It's really an amazing beach that is located south of Agadir, about 200 kilometers from Agadir. The nearest city close to Plage Blanche is actually the city of Guelmim. The Guelmim airport has just been refurbished entirely in 2019, and it's now an international airport, meaning that it can welcome planes from all over the world. And it's about, as I said, 3 hours drive from in the south of Agadir. What is important also here is that there's a motorway, expressway that is now being built between Agadir and Dakhla, which is going to open right at the end of the year. It's in the next few months, and it's gonna still increase the accessibility of the site, making Plage Blanche and Guelmim at about 2 hours and a half drive from Agadir. So direct connections also exist with the Canary Islands. This is actually a major point. It's important to say that Plage Blanche is about half an hour, 40 minutes flight from the Canary Islands, from Las Palmas, from Tenerife, which are, as you know, large tourism destinations, international tourism destinations. And I think there's a lot of things to do here to tap tourists that are coming and visiting the Canary Islands to exploit these synergies with Plage Blanche. So what is the project and what are we planning for this destination in particular? So this is a little bit different from Ahrud. We are more talking about beachfront eco-resort. Obviously, the sustainability criteria here are important. It's important that these projects are sustainable, that they are immersive with the nature that is around. We're looking also at seaside hotels with local touch. Probably the sports activities that are around this project are also important to develop, such as biking, trekking, riding, and sport fishing as well. The paragliding is quite big in the region. It's quite well known for this because obviously you have these huge dunes that are in Plage Blanche, which help on this side, and also all the off-road excursions. So there are a lot of activities which can be developed in this area, and probably here you can see just a few of them. Obviously, you can find also other projects to be developed. For the project specification, what we have is that the target is around 1,000 keys. As I said, the sustainability aspects here are important. So we're not targeting 10,000 keys or more. It's more of a 1,000 keys rooms developments with 2 upscale hotels and 1 family club. Obviously, there are sufficient land to be mobilized, but it's important to say that SMIT has already done the legal part, I would say, into mobilizing the parcels and make them available for investors. Properties can reach up to 10 hectares per resort developments. So if we're taking all the components of this project, so the 2 upscale hotels, the family club, plus the other equipments, we are at around 50 hectares of developments in this particular project. The total envelope for this investment is $200 million. And we're targeting an internal rate of return of about 9 to 10%. Obviously, one of the important criteria that are taken into account in the business plan is the proximity to the Canary Islands. So whether these synergies are going to work, I think it's important. So we've probably took a more conservative stance on this. But obviously, if the relationship are increased in the next few years, this can obviously improve the numbers significantly. There will be definitely strong government support for this project in particular. We have land that are priced at a very attractive value, and the support also, especially on off-site infrastructure and connecting the destination to the main city, which is Gelmim, is going to be provided by the government and by SMIT in particular. Okay, the third project is Dakhla. So that's another destination. We're, I think, moving out from Agadir and going through the south, the big south, in Dakhla. Dakhla has been, as I said in the beginning, a really improving destination over the last few years. I actually can't really think about a destination that has performed well during COVID. Well, Dakhla is one of them because it has recorded a record year in 2021. With so the numbers are still moderate. We were talking about 45,000 tourists for the whole year, so it's not the large destination, but it's definitely on the rise, and it's known consistent growth, double-digit growth for the last 5, 6, 7 years, and which is quite impressive, really. And it's been tagged as being the Maldives of Morocco, so the setting is absolutely magnificent. The landscapes are truly original. It's actually started as a destination for board water sports, and specifically kite surfs. There has been many championships, kite surfing championships in the last few years, but now it's getting or establishing itself as a proper tourism destination and seducing visitors well beyond this first niche that have developed or initiated the destination. So regarding a few numbers, just to tell you, we have a little bit more than 1,000 keys for the destination. So as you can say, it's still a small destination, but it's growing, as I said. About 40,000 tourists arrival, an occupation rate of about 65%. And I'm sure that in the next few years, we're going to see increasing interest for this destination. And I know that there are talks now to bring to the destination a few brands, such as Marriott, such as Hilton, to really open the destination for a larger group of tourists and a larger group of visitors. And yeah, as you can see on the picture, it's very well known for kite surfing in particular. Dakhla Bay, maybe just to finish on that one. So again, many eco-resort developments that are planned. Obviously, we're still focusing on kite surfing on board nautical sports because this is something important. Well-being is going to be important for that destination as well, with many spa considered for this destination. And we have known that after COVID, more and more people were interested in Dakhla. Dakhla Bay project, in a few words, we are talking about 250 keys and a $50 million investment. We're targeting 16% in terms of internal rate of return. And I think we need to move forward because lands are getting quite scarce at the moment, and authorities have decided to probably lower the development of the region because it's a fragile environment, so we need to take the sustainable impacts of these developments. And the government, again, will be here to support investors that are interested in the region. And we are here to also provide more information on the projects and the opportunities. I thank you very much for your attention.
Salim, thank you very much indeed. Don't go away. I've got a couple of questions for you. Only 2 or 3. Because I know the developers have a lot of questions. First question, though. People in the room, can I ask you a question? Just raise your hand if either you have an investment in Morocco or if you're actively considering it. Okay, good to know. So for those people, what makes Agadir attractive for these guys? And I know one of the questions in particular is accessibility from current source markets, but also new source markets. You touched on that. Can we get a bit more?
Sure. I think I think right now Agadir is very much underscored in terms of perception. The way investors and even tourists look at this destination. As I pointed out probably in the beginning, Morocco has grown into a quite singular way because Marrakesh is not an international economic center. And it's not in front of the sea. And you still have some tourists coming to Marrakesh. They've booked their flight ticket. They're coming and they say, "Where's the beach?" We're like, "There's no beach." They're like, "What?" So I think we need to correct this. And I think Agadir has a lot to offer on that side. There's a magnificent bay. It's been there for like many decades. So there's a special environment that is interesting. And I think that the government right now is offering the right support for investors to develop hotel resorts, and there are plenty of land that are available right now that is beachfront, and there's a great interest on this. Obviously, you talked about accessibility. It's an important fact. At the moment, I would say the main issue is that we are having rather low-cost companies that are serving Agadir, and I think the next step would be to get standard airlines such as BA, such as Air France, such as Emirates also, and to land at Agadir to increase the connectivity of the city with both European capitals but also the Middle East, and this will for sure improve the destination attractiveness. And obviously, I won't be here if all this was already in there. There would be a lot of people and a lot of investors in there for the destination.
What about the Agrud project, and in particular the kind of incentives and support the government are going to offer? What kind of assistance is going to be handed out to these guys and ladies in the room who are looking at those investments?
Sure. I think the government support is mainly on the infrastructure, off-site infrastructure. So I would say the overall development of Agrud, making the roads, the connection with the electric grid, all this is going to be supported by the government, but also the support lies also into the overall infrastructure of the region, connecting the different locations with the main center of Agadir. So as I said, mentioned before, there's an expressway linking Agadir to Agrud. There's about now not more than 30 minutes drive from the city center to the location. And this has been reduced already quite a lot, because just a few years ago, about 3 or 4 years ago, there was no expressway, and to reach into that destination was quite maybe an hour. So this has improved a lot. And not to mention, I think SMIT is here to also improve all the administrative procedures, getting all the authorizations and the the construction permits and all this. I think
cut through the red tape.
Exactly, the red tape. Indeed.
We've only got 3 minutes left. I've got a couple of questions about Plage Blanche, the White Beach project. It looks stunning, but again, on behalf of investors, they're looking at the IRR of 18% in Agadir, and then you flag up 10% at Plage Blanche. How do these people go back to their investment committees and say, "Oh, it's a great project. It's only 10% IRR, but it's lovely"?
Now, I think what is happening in Plage Blanche in particular is that there's a great potential for synergies with the Canary Islands. This is where I see the biggest potential. Canary Islands, there's 17 million tourists visiting these islands in 2019. Okay, you just get 1% of them, you just get 200,000 tourists just thinking like this. So you know, and it's just half an hour flight from Gelmim, from Plage Blanche. So here there's definitely an opportunity to seize, in my opinion, to get more investors in Dakhla. Again, it's a stance, you know. I could put there that they're going to be a big success with the Canary Islands and show you 25% of IRR. But then this is a stance to say, okay, this is an opportunity, we can seize it. There are great synergies to be put in there. Now we already have an airline that is doing the direct flight between Gelmim and the Canary Islands, and if this can be here exploited in the near future, I'm sure that again this can really rise the numbers up. But this is a stance. This is a sort of a bet. We're not talking about AAA trophy assets in Casablanca or Marrakesh, that's for sure. And if you guys looking for these opportunities, we're here also after after the discussion. But these are also enjoying great support from the government, and it's important to know that you have the local authorities behind you to support you and develop a successful destination in these areas.
1 minute left. Last question. A lot of customers to a place like Plage Blanche will be concerned about the environment and the environmental impact of construction and development there and putting in this infrastructure. 1 minute. How do you convince them, these potential customers, particularly millennials who are very conscious of these when making decisions about their destinations?
No, sure. I think the government and also local authorities are knowing the importance of sustainable developments there. So we're looking at eco-resorts. We're not looking at capital-intensive developments. And I think this may reduce the amount of investment maybe on these projects, but also it increases the activity and it increases the attractiveness also for investors to develop and do their projects. And I think there is increasing interest for this type of project. I was discussing with Chris from NV Lodges, and I think he's very much interested in this type of project, and I'm sure that we can give him more information and more ideas about this Plage Blanche project.
Good to know. Salim, thank you very much indeed for your time. Really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Salim,
thank you, Richard.
Salim Mikram, Managing Partner at Istich Consulting. Right, that's quite enough questions from me. I'm going to pass the baton now to the moderator of our panel discussion today, the investors discussion round. Ladies and gentlemen, will you please give a very warm welcome to the founder and Managing Director of Aleph Hospitality, Bani Haddad. Thanks, Bani.
Morning, everyone. My name is Bani Haddad, the Managing Director of Aleph Hospitality. We are an independent hotel operator, the leaders in Africa, and hopefully soon in Morocco. So Morocco is quite an exciting subject for me. Today on stage, I'm very pleased to welcome and have a discussion around the hospitality investment with two gentlemen, Ewan Cameron. Please, Ewan. Ewan leads the Westmont Hotel Group operations and development in Africa. And we have Hamza Farooqui. Hamza is a prominent South African-based entrepreneur with special interest in real estate, technology, hospitality, and a number of other exciting things. Please. And Hamza is the founder of CEO of Millat Investments, a boutique investment firm based in South Africa. Gentlemen, thank you for joining us today. I thought we could start by you giving us a quick overview of your companies, your focus, and specifically your focus in Africa before we dig into the Moroccan market. Hamza, please.
Thank you very much. Based out of South Africa, we run a family office where we deploy our own capital. We've done lots of things in the last 15, 20 years. Post-COVID, we have a significant focus purely in tourism and leisure. As an example, in the last sort of 18 months, we've opened 4 hotels in South Africa, all with Hyatt. So the story of Morocco and this from what I've seen this morning, is very relevant. We are looking at other geographies, but Africa is different, challenging. We've been there. I think I'm very excited to hear some of the stuff what Morocco is doing as a destination. This is relevant, interesting. I've never been to Morocco. I'm actually going for the first time for this upcoming bench event. So probably my perspective is going to be very unjaded. It's going to be probably clear, clinical, and it's going to be principle-led because I deploy my own capital. So looking forward to the conversation and seeing more.
Thank you, Hamza. Ewan?
Hello, Ewan Cameron from Westmont Hospitality Family Fund, about 30 years in North America, continental Europe, Japan, and also now increasingly in Africa. Probably amongst the largest private investors in hotel real estate. We co-invest as well, and we work with all the major global brands. With regard to Morocco, in 2019, you could criticize our timing. We acquired the Four Seasons in Marrakesh, and then on the 16th of December 2019, we acquired the Sheraton in Casablanca. Four Seasons, it probably echoes to STR stats that Philip showed us earlier. Definitely leisure's back, and leisure's back strong in 2022. And what was a traditional 300-bed Sheraton in Casablanca, right in the old commercial hub, if you like, of the city, we're about to open as a new, fully renovated 300-key Marriott hotel on the 1st of November.
Thank you. It's quite interesting because, Hamza, your investment firm is quite diversified. You look at a number of opportunities, not only real estate, while Westmont, on the other hand, is purely focused, and correct me if I'm wrong, on hospitality. I would be really interested to know, what are your criteria when you're looking at hospitality investment? What are the 3 or 4 main criteria you would consider when you're looking at a hospitality assets? Ewan, you can start.
Yeah, thanks, Bani. When we look at any asset, we start at a macro level. So we look at the GDP with regard to where is that, what's the size of that economy, what's the key primary drivers of it, what's the risk profile. Some of the conversations come up with regard to SMIT about access to debt and how we can use that to try and stretch some of the returns, the legal system. And then to your point, Bani, if we are buying existing real estate, how sophisticated is that real estate market? Westmont generally doesn't like to do greenfield. We've tried it in the past. It's very risky. And to be honest, in the current market conditions, it's pretty difficult. I need to watch what I'm saying here. There's a QS in the room, if not one, if two. But the cost of building has definitely spiked as a legacy of the pandemic, and now increasingly with regard to the war in Europe. So some of the numbers I've seen from Equate of 30+% in build costs between 2018 and now, really as an investor, makes you think about how would I deploy capital. Maybe an existing asset is less risky than going in and doing greenfield.
Have you done any greenfields in Morocco? No, both properties were acquisitions. And Hamza, when you have to make a judgment between investing, deploying capital into a technology opportunity versus a hospitality one, how would you do that?
So I think it's important to set some context. We've obviously done lots of sectors before. So we've had a very varied risk investment criteria. In the last 2 years, almost 90% of our capital we've deployed has only been in hospitality. And we see that number growing because that's where we've seen opportunity. We're typically a special set, where there's got to be a secret sauce. So for us, there's got to be something unique. We've opened, Hyatt has never had any presence in South Africa. We've literally taken them from having zero presence to having, because there was a secret sauce. There was something unique. There was market share we could go in. So for us, the risk matrix matrix is what's special that we can go out and do. What's the level of inefficiency we can go out and create? So if there's lots of brands and if there is lots of presence, is there sort of something unique on the top line, airlift, something unique that we can actually go out and dislocate, and then we provide capital? Is there some level of disruptiveness? So our matrix is, besides the traditional parts, is there. So for a market like Morocco, we would look at what is something which others are doing which we can't. Is there a market share? Is it maybe a yield quality market? Is everyone just opening up hotels? Brands are worried about their fees, but is there something different we can come in? Can we uplift a certain product so you can actually get a higher yield, higher positioning opportunity, all inclusive? Those are the kind of things we would drive our decision to physically deploying. And then obviously, country and all of those parts are there, but it's got to be about, inefficiency and something different. And that's what we'd look at within the space. That's what drove us to do our hotels.
And Ewan, I know that you have a joint venture with Actis for Africa. And I'm assuming that covers Morocco as well. Is that having a joint venture partner for Morocco and the wider Africa, is that part of your strategy to diversify your risk, or is it to fast track your development on the continent?
Bani, I think there's a couple of things there. One is Westmont has, over many years, had great success from joint ventures, in that there's a number of funds out there that would like to have exposure to hotel real estate, particularly North America and Europe, where there was a lot of change of structure, where the big global brand systems sold off their balance sheets effectively, wanting to become marketing companies, revenue companies, brand companies, rather than actually owning hotel assets. So we were then working with the likes of Whitehall, Goldman Sachs, some of the big private equity funds. When they came into hotel real estate, we were the preferred partner, because we would align our capital with them. And not only would we own the assets, we'd also operate in the businesses, because hotels are complicated beasts. So we had that expertise. To your point originally, we are specialists. I mean, whenever there's a hotel component, then we get involved. Actis is a bit different. Actis is in, they're in data centers, they're in microfinancing, they've done some big retail malls, done some big residential developments in a number of different African continents. They are the biggest real estate private investment fund in the continent today, and have a strong development ethos behind them. So we're not exclusive Actis, but when we looked at markets like Nigeria and left Morocco with them, they reached the same conclusion as we did. To do a new build would be probably too risky. So if we were able to acquire an existing asset and add that secret sauce, if you like, where we could then return, we could achieve those return expectations. And I suppose the other thing is, if you are working with the likes of Actis, who have a set horizon in investment terms, greenfield's difficult to get those returns within that time frame. Even with the support of government, etc., to take an existing asset, it's faster generally, and then enables you to get those returns.
No, that's clear, but it's amazing what I have seen since probably 10 or 15 years, what the Moroccan government has been doing to support the tourism with the Vision 2020 and then 2030. It is really very rare to find such a support in many countries. Would that be a big factor for you, Hamza? Would you consider a greenfield development and all these great destinations that Salim mentioned, for example? Would that be something where you would say, yes, I'll deploy money?
So yes, but obviously if there are sufficient supply opportunities. If I look at South Africa, we've been able to do things very quickly because there's just enough supply. And what's needed is a quick turnaround, a quick rebrand, a quick sort of recalibration. Now, in Morocco's case, you may not have that existing infrastructure in place because of where the market sits. So you probably will need to look at a greenfield, and you will need the kind of support, the incentives, because that's going to be critical drivers, in the plan. So yes, again, I haven't looked at build costs in Morocco, but my view on build costs is if you do it right, principle-led attention to detail, you always cut out the fat.
What about the first movers advantage? You know, these areas, Dakhla, and might seem a little bit remote with very little tourists. But being in the industry as an operator, I always consider, you know, the first movers advantage in some of these destinations would make a lot of sense because you capture the entire demand if you have the right product.
You know, yes and no, but you must also understand it's not just one region. There's lots of parts of the world selling and looking. Post-COVID, there's lots of people looking to track traffic demand. So you have to be super efficient and smart about what's the market, where, and how you're going to fill these hotels. I think the days of just build it and they'll come doesn't really, you have to be a lot more thoughtful. But that being the case, I'm looking forward to going to Morocco for the first time. And I am going to go with a very open eye because I think, you know, if there is a greenfield opportunity, you know, I think SMIT is talking of plots, land. If those pieces are there, then I think those are very big drivers, which would make a lot of sense.
When the government initiatives, were they a major factor when you did your acquisitions? And can you maybe elaborate on how did that benefit? Because for you, it's like acquisitions of existing assets, so connection to water and utilities, etc. But were there investment incentives that you benefited from as Westmont?
I think the big thing we looked at, Bani, at the time was, where is the Morocco economy? And, you know, from the king through the government, through the provincial level, you know, the whole thing about enterprise zones, the work that's gone into Tangier, like Tangier is only, 30 kilometers from Spain. And if you travel up there and you see these mass manufacturing plants, you see white good manufacturers, you see what's happened with regard to the aviation sector. I think the aviation sector is like $1.2 billion per year of exports. You know, they're supplying all the big aviation companies we know around the world. So Morocco is becoming a big manufacturing base. So for as an investor, that's really encouraging. If you can follow other capital coming in, the government, to your point, has put a lot of structures in there. They really do understand their tax system. They are very precise with regard to putting incentives in place. The infrastructural piece, you know, the aviation focus that's gone into Casablanca, has gone into Marrakesh, has gone into Rabat, Royal Morocco. If you travel through West Africa, it's probably one of the most frequent routes. You know, a lot of West Africans will fly to Casablanca and then connect into Europe. Why? Because it's cheaper. So the connectivity to Canary Islands through Royal Morocco would definitely be, to me, would make sense with regard to opening up in aviation terms. High-speed rail, the first high-speed rail network I've seen in Africa is in Morocco. You know, it'll be really interesting now to see how leisure in Rabat combines with Casablanca. You know, now you can't take high-speed rail through to Marrakesh, but to me, that's an opportunity. So as an investor, again, the government's leading, they're putting serious capital to work. Maybe back to the question about environmental, if we could open up some of these leisure destinations through high-speed rail, then it does two things. As an investor, it gives me confidence, but also secondly, it would really make Morocco have a USP versus other markets. Not dissimilar to what South Africa's done. You know, getting that 2-node, maybe 3-node destination working, put the infrastructure, put the transportation, and make it easy. And then for investors, it helps.
Was there any specific financial tax benefits that you can share with the audience, or were these specific negotiated to Westmont, or did you experience that, you know, when you expressed your interest to enter the market, the government said yes for investors, FDIs, we have in tourism, we have these benefits available?
I think we're still asking, Bani.
Okay.
So I wouldn't say the investment thesis
did he leave?
The investment thesis in the Four Seasons wasn't driven specifically because of specific investment or involvement of the government. Supportive, yes, but not specific. With regard to COVID, clearly it was a very difficult time for Morocco. You know, in vaccination terms, the government has definitely led the continent. What it did mean operationally is that it was pretty closed. It was black and white with regard to the impact upon the business. So we, as I said, we bought in December. In March, we were told we had to shut. We couldn't have any more meetings in Casablanca. So that changed our whole business model. Our business model had been we'll buy, we'll refurbish within trading.
Essentially, you're creating value.
But what I'm leading to, Bani, is that at the end of the heart, if you like, the eye of the pandemic, we were able to get a government grant. So that's helped us in Marrakesh, and it's helped us in Casablanca, where we've been able to identify specific retooling, is the way it was kind of described by the government. If you need a bit of extra capital, the government puts effectively a set amount available. You could apply for it as a grant, and that was justification of repurposing rather kitchens, laundries, those elements. So that support was there. But then the fundamentals, the fact that the dirham is tied to a basket rate effectively to the euro, as an investor, that really gives me confidence when it comes to Forex.
Hamza, we've heard, and I want to just pick up on Richard's point earlier and the presentation, a 10% return. How do you feel about that? It's true that it's not typically what one would expect. But is that something you would still kind of dive in and say, maybe there is more, maybe we can create more value because we're interested in the market. There is depth in a market like Morocco. Is that something you would consider still?
Yeah, I think again, the days of just looking at a number IRR, isn't there. With private capital, we have a lot more flexibility. But I can tell you, capital can take you to a certain point. It's about what you do with that P&L, what you do with that brand, what you can do with that top line rate, F&B, all of those things supported by a strong destination. I think, again, days of hotel owners sitting right at the top, not understanding the business is also over. Owners today understand the business, they understand optimization, they understand those things. And I think those things collectively support a strong built-out IRR case. It's not just the destination which is going to offer you an IRR. It's going to take a lot more. And it's also not just the brand on the front door. But I think all of those pieces working in concert, I think, are going to lead to a number. And I'm sure, with where Morocco is, they'll be able to sort of offer a lot more than just a notional number, than just 10%, provided they had the right people and the right jockeys and the right kind of investors. I think that's also important for Morocco to understand. If you just bring in a market segment where people just build and go, you're not getting the right kind of institutional capital base. And I think for Morocco, it's also important to say, we also want to attract the right kind of capital, the right kind of owners who are going to help us build the destination, who are going to help us build yield, pricing, positioning.
True.
All very important.
True. Ewan, maybe one final question around your experience of securing financing for your acquisitions. How did you go about it? Was it local? Was it international? I'm assuming it must be international financing. And was it easy? How was Morocco considered on a risk level?
I think locally raising debt was more complicated than we anticipated. We acquired, with regard to the Four Seasons, there was an element of distress there with regard to restructuring the capital pile. So we had to invest fresh equity. We had to do a restructuring, quite complicated. With regard to the Sheraton, we actually purchased it from SMIT. So effectively a sovereign wealth joint venture. It was the end of their investment cycle. It was a good time for them to exit. And we did try and do deals with local banks. Ultimately, we've actually done a deal with a South African bank that's keen to come into Morocco. Certain limitations to that. We were lucky we could buy or able to buy the equity and then do a structuring afterwards, Bani. But I think that's where further conversations can be had with regard to how the banking sector can do more.
And Hamza, from your perspective on the financing side, are you seeing growth and appetite from the financing institutions post-COVID now that the world is kind of recovering, numbers are coming back?
So no, not in South Africa. I say hotels are like a swear word for South African banks. I'm not sure how our friends got it right, but South African banks just don't understand hotels. They don't understand how it works, and that's great. That's fine, because that creates opportunities for private capital like us to come in and sort of build smartly. I was very interested to hear that SMIT actually has bank financing piece in the matrix, because I think that's what you need, the level of education in credit committees. So I think that's important. But South Africa, to be blunt, the appetite for debt in South African banks is very stifled. But hey, that's what it is, and you need to make it work.
Thank you. I think we have a minute left if, for questions from the audience, if any. The lady there. Can we have a mic, or you can speak up? The room is small enough, I think.
Interest in coming to Ghana to invest in Ghana?
We'll ask the organizers to have a special. But let me do a bit of PR on behalf of Bench. They have an African Hotel Investment Forum taking place in October, November, first week of November, and I'm sure there will be a panel on Ghana.
Okay. And secondly, with the two gentlemen there, if someone have a project in Ghana, will you be interested in investing in it?
Yes.
Okay, then I'll speak to you after.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Any other questions before we conclude? Thank you, Hamza. Thank you, Ewan.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Gentlemen, thanks very much indeed. Fascinating discussion there. And as we heard, it could have gone on further, and it will go on further, because that's the point of these events. We'll go to lunch and we'll continue the conversations, maybe even long into the night. Right, let's wrap up this focus on what's driving investment opportunities in Morocco. And essentially what's driving them are the projects. So let's finish off by diving into some of these real projects, showcase of investment opportunities. We've got the guys from SMIT, SMIT, who opened this event, and they're bookending it by closing it as well. So to talk us through some of those projects, would you please join me in welcoming the promotion and marketing department head at SMIT, Nada said here. Nada, join us, please. And gents, can I get the clicker? Oh, that's very kind. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Rashad.
Okay.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm delighted to be here today to introduce you to some best-kept secret investment opportunities in the city of Marrakesh and its surroundings. It comes to complete what presented previously Salim. Sorry. So I'm pretty sure that you know Marrakesh, and who does not know Marrakesh? In 2019, Marrakesh was ranked in the top 10 of the world's best destination by TripAdvisor. The Red City secured the 9th place ahead of Dubai, Prague, and New York. Marrakesh is unique, a destination where various key components, such as authenticity, heritage, culture, and modernity, met and create that amazing, culturally authentic atmosphere combined with a real hosting generosity. Located at less than 3 hours flight from the most European capitals, Marrakesh is the city break destination. So it is considered as the first tourism destination in Morocco in terms of bed capacity as well as in terms of occupation rates. It registers more than 40,000 rooms, 3 million arrivals, and more than 9 million overnights, more than the third average stay duration. So Marrakesh is unique and charming atmosphere with the good combination of ingredients that attracts the attention of world-class brands such as the Fairmont, Mandara Oriental, Accor, Marriott, and so on. So it has a solid infrastructures, and its location at the center of the kingdom made it a destination of choice. Marrakesh Airport is considered as the second largest one in the country. However, and in order to maintain the city of Marrakesh shine internationally and attract well-known brands and investors, there is a need to diversify its offer. That is why the government, through the Moroccan Agency for Tourism Development, SMIT, we developed a roadmap for the development of the tourism product in Marrakesh. Our objective, of course, as all the destination, is to increase the number of overnight stays and extend the average length of it, as well as increase the return for investors. And this only can be done by developing high contribution tourism products. These products will represent investment opportunities for the stakeholders and will create opportunities in the entire sector. So the investment opportunities that have been created are directed towards international standard leisure offer. So the creation of a leisure offer to the project of the new amusement park resort of Marrakesh will undoubtedly contribute to the increase of the destination dynamics. Indeed, with the surface area of 200 hectares located at only 72 kilometers from Marrakesh and 2 hours from Casablanca, this new project will meet both tourists and investors' expectations. It represents a real opportunity in terms of creation of the region's dynamic, meeting the existing demand and expand the average duration of the stay and attracts international brands. So this world-class resort will provide an outstanding entertainment area with different components such as theme parks, leisure areas, shops, hotels, tourism residences, spa wellness centers, and so on. It will target both national and international tourists. The second entertainment project, which is in the pipe, is named the Dino Park project. So Dino Park is a project adventure park. As its name indicates, it's around dinosaurs. So it is positioned at about 150 kilometers, which is 2 hours drive approximately from the north of Marrakech, and it is close to the well-known Ouzoud waterfalls, which is located in the middle of the Atlas Mountains. Several dinosaur remains have been founded in the region, which prompted the idea of developing such an attraction that boasts amazing mountain landscapes and exceptional tourism potential. Therefore, so each area will be developed according to specific topics, so it will offer a single trip with various experiences. A large number of annexed activities will complete this offer, such as restaurants, other facilities, and the place will be developed to welcome national and international brands in a pleasant, beautiful, and outstanding settings. So the project will create an important socio-economic dynamic in the destination, and it will create more than 3,000 jobs. The off-site infrastructure will be covered by SMIT and the local authorities of the region. So the project will be realized through a public-private partnership and will be financed through funds that are supported by the region. So I can say that some components of the Valley of the Dinosaurs, the visit where the visitors can discover the environments, learning and having fun. In terms of investments, I will just return back so that you can see that the expected investment amount of the whole development project is about $20 million. The investors' contribution is $15 million, and the internal rate of return is 12%. Various incentives are directed by the government and put in place in addition to traditional ones, so that to boost the realization of these projects. And the area is 10 hectares. So I think that I've presented the two leisure and entertainment opportunities in the destination, and I hope that it will catch your interest. Thank you so much for your attention.
Nada, thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
My children in particular would love the Dino Park. So if any of you build it, then I will be the first person there. Well, that brings us to the conclusion of our focus on what's driving investment opportunities in Morocco. Thanks to all of our speakers today, to Imad, who kicked things off, to Philip, who gave us the statistical overview. Appreciate that. Salim, thanks so much for your insights on the various projects that you highlighted for us. Fascinating panel discussion, of course, that I know, as I mentioned, will continue. To Bani, to Ewan and Hamza, appreciate your time today. And finally, for wrapping things up there, Nada. Appreciate it. And of course, thanks to the guys from SMIT, SMIT, for helping to put this together. And lest you forget, the next event is going to be held in Morocco. The African Hotel Investment Forum is the 2nd to the 4th of November in Tagazat, in conjunction with the guys at SMIT. If you want more details of that, go to ahif.com. And with that, thanks very much indeed for all your attention and enthusiasm this morning. And Jennifer.
Please join me in thanking Richard, who has, as always, been a fabulous host.
Thank you very much indeed.
And I know also that the SMIT team would be very happy to talk to you about the projects that they've just presented. So you can either see them here after the session, or they've got a stand near the entrance to the summit stage, and they'll be here for the next 2 days. So thank you so much for your attention.